The stars looked different from the observation deck of the Elunari ship. Ambassador Keleth stood with 4 arms clasped behind his back, his large eyes blinking as he watched the blue-green planet grow larger in the viewport. Earth, home to whom? The newest species discovered by the Galactic Council. "Are we prepared for this meeting?" asked Varan, Keleth's assistant. The younger Elunari's skin shifted from pale blue to a worried purple. "We have done this 87 times before," Keleth said. "First contact is always delicate, but we have protocols." What Keleth did not say was that something about these humans worried him. The Council had been watching Earth for decades, intercepting their broadcasts, studying their history. Humans were ... odd. They fought wars that killed millions of their own kind, yet they risked their lives to save single members of their species. They built weapons that could destroy their planet, yet they created art of stunning beauty. They seemed both savage and gentle in equal measure. "Their signals are guiding us to a landing site," said the pilot. "A place called New York." The ship descended through white clouds, and soon they could see the sprawl of human civilization below. Tall buildings, networks of roads, and vast numbers of tiny moving vehicles. The Council had chosen this location because it housed something called the United Nations, apparently where humans attempted to solve problems without killing each other. As the ship touched down in a large open area, Keleth saw hundreds of humans gathered behind barriers. Some held devices pointed at the ship, recording equipment, the briefing had said. Others simply stared. Many showed their teeth, which the briefing assured was not a threat display, but something called a smile. "Remember," Keleth told his team of 12 diplomats, "humans are physically fragile compared to most Council species, but they are clever. Their technology advanced extremely rapidly once they discovered electricity. Be respectful." The ship's door opened, and a ramp extended down to the ground. Keleth led his team out into Earth's sunlight. The air smelled strange, full of chemicals, and the breath of millions of humans. A small group of humans approached. They wore matching dark blue outfits, except for one woman in front, who wore something white and flowing. She had pale skin and hair, the color of Earth's sun. She stopped a respectful distance away and bowed slightly. "Ambassador Keleth," she said in perfect galactic standard, surprising him completely. "I am Dr. Eleanor Fitzgerald, Earth's chosen representative. On behalf of humanity, I welcome you to our world." Keleth's skin flushed orange with surprise. "You speak our language." Eleanor smiled again. "We've been studying your transmissions since you entered our solar system. Our linguists work day and night to prepare. We wish to show respect by greeting you properly." Keleth nodded, impressed despite himself. Most species took months to learn even basic galactic standard. These humans had done it in weeks. The Galactic Council extends greetings to humanity, Keleth said, performing the traditional 4-armed gesture of peace. "We come seeking peaceful exchange between our civilizations." "And we are eager to learn," Eleanor said. Her eyes were a deep blue, reminding Keleth of the rare gems from the Centauri system. "We have prepared a meeting place where we can talk more comfortably." As they walked toward a large building, Keleth noticed human security personnel standing. At regular intervals, they appeared alert but not aggressive. Their weapons were visible but not aimed. Most interesting, inside the building, a room had been prepared with chairs for both humans and the 4-legged Elunari. The walls displayed art from human cultures around their world. A table held foods and drinks. "We researched what would be safe for your species to consume," Eleanor explained as they sat down. "Our scientists believe these fruits will be compatible with your digestive system." "Most thoughtful," Keleth said, increasingly impressed. "Few species consider such details during first contact." Eleanor introduced her team, scientists, diplomats, and language experts. Each greeted the Elunari with respect and careful pronunciation of their names. "We have brought information about the Galactic Council," Calith said, placing a data crystal on the table. "It contains our history, member species, basic technology we are permitted to share, and proposals for cultural exchange." "Thank you," Eleanor said. She gestured to a young man who carefully took the crystal. "Then we'll make copies for our team to study." "We are curious," Calith said, "about how humans will approach joining the galactic community. Some species isolate themselves at first. Others dive in eagerly." Eleanor's expression remained pleasant, but Calith noticed her eyes narrow slightly. "We hope to find a balanced approach. Humanity values its independence, but we also see tremendous opportunity in friendship with the stars." The meeting continued. For hours, the humans asked intelligent questions about council governance, trade agreements, and defense policies. They shared information about Earth's nations, resources, and scientific achievements. Everything seemed perfectly normal for a first contact scenario. What Calith failed to notice was happening outside the meeting room, in a secure facility beneath the building. Ben had already copied the data crystal and delivered it to a team of Earth's top scientists and military analysts. They worked frantically to extract every piece of information. "Look at these propulsion specs," whispered a physicist named Dr. Nathan Rivera. "We could adapt this to our existing framework." "Their weapons are primarily defensive," noted General Carla Jones. "That's interesting." In orbit around Earth, human satellites quietly scanned the Elunari ship, mapping its technology while appearing to be nothing more than communication relays. And most importantly, at military bases around the planet, human forces remained at high alert. Weapons aimed skyward, just in case this peaceful meeting was not what it seemed. Back in the meeting room, Eleanor was all warmth and diplomacy. "We come seeking peaceful exchange," she said, her voice steady despite the historic moment. "Earth wishes to join the galactic community as partners and friends." Calith believed her. Why wouldn't he? The humans seemed so reasonable, so eager to learn. Their questions were thoughtful, their manner respectful. Later, as the Elunari team returned to their ship for rest, Calith felt satisfied. "A successful first day," he told Varan. "These humans seem quite civilized." "Yes," Varan agreed, "though there is something in their eyes. Something ... calculating." Calith dismissed the concern. All intelligent species calculate. It's natural to be cautious with new friends. As night fell over New York, Eleanor met with the president and the Joint Chiefs in a secure bunker. "They bought it," she said simply. "They have no idea what we're capable of." "Good," the president replied. "Keep it that way. Learn everything you can about their technology, their species, their weaknesses. Be the perfect diplomat." Eleanor nodded. In the dim light of the bunker, her kind smile faded, replaced by the focused expression of a predator, planning several moves ahead. The galaxy would soon learn that behind every human smile lay the mind of a hunter. But for now, they would play the role of the eager new species, hiding their teeth behind diplomatic pleasantries. The hunt had begun. 5 years passed since the Elunari ships first landed on Earth. Much had changed. Humanity had joined the Galactic Council as its newest member. Ships from Earth now traveled to distant stars. Alien visitors walked the streets of major cities, no longer drawing crowds of amazed onlookers. Dr. Eleanor Fitzgerald, once just Earth's representative for First Contact, now held the rank of Admiral in the newly formed Earth Space Command. She also served as Earth's main ambassador to the Council. Today, she stood in the Grand Meeting Hall on Centauri Prime, the Council headquarters, watching alien delegates argue about trade routes. The Vordari insist they need exclusive access to the Rigel corridor, said Councillor Zoff, a reptilian, being with scales that shifted color with his mood. Currently, they were an angry red. They claim it's for security, but we all know they want to control the flow of rarium crystals. Eleanor nodded, taking in the information while scanning the room. She had spent years learning about each species in the council, their strengths, weaknesses, fears, and desires. The Vordari were strong but impatient. The Palaxians were brilliant, scientists but physically weak. Every piece of information went into humanity's growing database. Perhaps, Eleanor suggested, her voice calm and reasonable, we could propose a joint security force. The Vordari could lead it, addressing their concerns, while including ships from other affected systems. The council members looked at each other. It was a simple solution that gave the Vordari what they wanted: control, while making it seem like cooperation. An excellent compromise, Admiral Fitzgerald, said the council leader, an ancient being from a species that had been traveling the stars when humans were still using stone tools. Your kind has a talent for finding middle ground. Eleanor smiled. We just try to see all sides of a problem. What she didn't say was that humans had been using this strategy for thousands of years, peering to compromise while actually getting exactly what they wanted. In this case, what humanity wanted was ships in the Rigel corridor, learning about Vordari military tactics up close. After the meeting, Eleanor returned to her office in the Earth Embassy. Jack Hammond was waiting for her. As head of the Human Diplomatic Corps, Jack traveled across the galaxy, solving conflicts between species that had been fighting for centuries. How was your trip to the Palaxian homeworld? Eleanor asked, sitting behind her desk. Jack grinned. Productive. I convinced them to end their war with the Vordari. 300 years of fighting, over because I suggested they were both being manipulated by the Draxians. Were they? Probably not. But it gave them a common enemy to focus on instead of each other. Jack leaned forward. More importantly, both sides agreed to let us establish peacekeeping bases in their systems. Eleanor nodded with approval. Another piece of the human strategy falling into place. In just 5 years, humanity had established footholds throughout council space, always under the guise of helping, peacekeeping, or scientific research. The council thinks we're miracle workers, Jack said. They keep asking how we understand alien psychology so well. What do you tell them? Eleanor asked. That Earth had thousands of different cultures, so we learned to understand different perspectives, Jack shrugged. I don't mention that we spent most of our history fighting those different cultures. A soft chime interrupted them. The door opened and Dr. Nathan Rivera entered. As lead scientist for Earth's technological adaptation program, he was responsible for studying and improving alien technology. You're going to want to see this, Nathan said, placing a small device on Eleanor's desk. It projected a hologram of a sleek ship design. Is that based on the Elunari scout ship? Eleanor asked, studying the design. Nathan nodded. Yes, but we've improved it. Their propulsion system was efficient, but they never thought to combine it with our nuclear fusion technology. This hybrid is 40% faster and has twice the range. Will they notice the similarities? Jack asked. No, Nathan assured them. We've changed the external design completely, and we're building them in the Jupiter shipyards, away from prying eyes. Eleanor stood and walked to the window, looking out at the gleaming spires of Centauri Prime. Alien species of all shapes and sizes moved through the streets below. Many nodded respectfully when they passed humans. How many council regulations? Are we bending with these projects? She asked quietly. Most of them, Nathan admitted. But we're careful. We always appear to be less advanced than we are. When we reveal new technology, we act like we just figured it out, or we credit alien mentors for helping us. Eleanor turned back to face them. And our primary mission? Jack's friendly expression faded, replaced by the focused look of a soldier. Protection of Earth and humanity remains the priority. Everything we do is toward that goal. In another part of the council space, a human diplomatic team led by Kyle Bennett was mediating a resource dispute on a desert planet called Raxes IV. The planet was home to the Raxians, six-limbed beings with a warrior culture. They were arguing with the Silurians, a peaceful water-dwelling species, over rights to a river valley. Kyle sat cross-legged in the shade of a tent, looking completely at ease despite the tense atmosphere. He had spent weeks learning Raxian honor codes and Silurian religious beliefs. The river is sacred to the Silurians, Kyle explained to the Raxian war chief, but they only need access to it during their renewal ceremony once per year. What if they granted you mining rights for the other 300 cycles in exchange? For complete privacy during their ceremony? The Raxian chief tapped his claws together, considering. This would satisfy honor. We get the minerals we need. They keep their traditions. The Silurian elder's skin rippled with colors of relief. This is acceptable. We had feared we would lose our most sacred site forever. After the agreement was signed, a Centauran observer approached Kyle. That was impressive. These two species have been on the verge of war for decades. How did you solve it so easily? Kyle gave a modest shrug. Humans understand conflict. We've had plenty of practice resolving our own. What he didn't say was that the solution benefited Earth too. The minerals the Raxians would mine were crucial components for the new ships Nathan was designing. And during the Silurian ceremony, human scientists would have access to study the rare properties of the river water, said to have regenerative qualities. Back on Centauri Prime, Eleanor finished her daily report to Earth's leaders. She encrypted the data and sent it through, a secure channel disguised as routine diplomatic traffic. How long can we keep this up? Jack asked when she was done. Pretending to be less advanced than we're becoming? Eleanor smiled. As long as we need to. The council species see what they expect to see a young, eager species grateful for. Their guidance. They don't look deeper because they have no reason to suspect. And when they finally realize? Nathan asked. By then, Eleanor said, her voice soft but certain, it will be too late. We'll be too embedded in their systems, too vital to their economies and security. They'll need us more than we need them. She looked at the hologram of the ship still, floating above her desk. Humanity has always been good at adapting, at finding weaknesses and exploiting them. Out here, we're just doing what we've always done, surviving by any means necessary. As night fell on Centauri Prime, lights came on in the Earth Embassy. To passing aliens, it looked like any other diplomatic building. None suspected that beneath its foundations lay a secure bunker where humans analyzed every piece of information, gathered throughout the galaxy, building a map of strengths and weaknesses, preparing for a day they hoped would never come, but would be ready for if it did. The Predator continued to wear its diplomatic smile, and the galaxy continued to welcome it with open arms. 15 years had passed since humanity joined the Galactic Council. Earthships now traveled freely through Council space. Humans worked in all areas of galactic society, as traders, scientists, diplomats, and security consultants. Most alien species saw humans as helpful, adaptable partners. Few suspected what lay beneath their friendly smiles. The emergency alert sounded during a routine council session. Admiral Eleanor Fitzgerald sat up straight as the holographic display in the center of the grand chamber changed to show a star. System under attack. The Maldoran system has been invaded, announced the council leader, his usual calm voice now tight with worry. 3 planets have already fallen. Images appeared showing strange ships shaped like giant insects. They swarmed around planets, landing in vast numbers. The Harvester Swarm, gasped an elderly Centaurian delegate. They were supposed to be extinct. Eleanor exchanged glances with Jack Hammond, who stood at the back of the room. Both kept their expressions neutral, but their minds raced with the same thought. A new threat meant new opportunities. "What are these harvesters?" Eleanor asked, making her voice sound concerned but not fearful. The council leader's skin paled. "A sentient insectoid collective that consumes all organic matter on planets they invade. They were defeated 2,000 years ago and believed extinct. Somehow they have returned." Over the next few hours, reports flooded in from the attacked systems. The harvesters moved quickly, overwhelming defenses before help could arrive. The Maldorans, a gentle species known for their music and art, were being slaughtered. Council's defensive fleet mobilized under Admiral Vortek of the Draxians, a tall, blue-skinned species with a reputation for strategic caution. Ships from all Council species gathered at a safe distance from the invasion zone. "We will establish a containment perimeter," Vortek announced during the emergency session. "We must analyze their patterns before engaging." Eleanor stood. "With respect, Admiral, while we analyze, the Maldorans are dying. Thousands of refugees are fleeing in civilian ships. They need immediate protection." Vortek's expression hardened. "We cannot rush into battle against an enemy we do not understand. The Council fleet must act with unity and purpose." "Of course," Eleanor said smoothly. "But perhaps Earth can help in a small way. We have a few ships nearby that could assist with refugee evacuation while the Council prepares its response." The Council leader nodded gratefully. "Any help would be appreciated, Admiral Fitzgerald." What Eleanor didn't mention was that Earth had been monitoring unusual energy readings from that region of space for months. Human intelligence had suspected something was stirring in the darkness between stars. Earth ships had already been positioned nearby, waiting and watching. Captain Olivia West received her orders while patrolling the edge of Maldoran space. Her ship, the Defender, was officially listed as a diplomatic escort vessel in Council records. In reality, it was one of Earth's most advanced warships, disguised to look less threatening. "Admiral Fitzgerald has authorized Operation Helping Hand," her communications officer reported. "We are to assist Maldoran refugees while gathering tactical data on the enemy." Olivia nodded. At 42, she had spent most of her adult life preparing for moments like this. Set course for the refugee flotilla. Alert the other captains in our group. 6 human ships moved toward the stream of civilian vessels fleeing the harvester. Attack. The refugees traveled in everything from luxury liners to cargo haulers, all overloaded with desperate Maldorans. From her bridge, Olivia watched the scanner readings with growing concern. Harvester ships approaching the refugee fleet. Estimated time to intercept, 15 minutes. She opened a channel to the other human captains. Council forces are still organizing their response. The refugees will be overrun before help arrives. We're moving to intercept. The human ships positioned themselves between the refugees and the approaching harvesters. To any observer, it seemed like a suicidal move. 6 small ships against 20 larger enemy vessels. "Broadcast on all channels," Olivia ordered. "This is Captain Olivia West of Earth. We are here to help evacuate civilians. Any hostile action will be met with appropriate force." The harvester ships didn't respond. They continued their approach, spreading out to surround the human vessels. "They're not slowing down," reported the sensor officer. "Weapons charging." Olivia smiled, but there was no humor in it. "Neither are we. Combat Protocol Alpha. Weapons free." What happened next shocked the watching Council observers. The human ships moved with stunning speed and coordination. Instead of forming a defensive line as Council military doctrine taught, They scattered in different directions, each ship engaging multiple enemies at once. The defender took heavy fire, but managed to destroy 2 harvester ships in quick succession. Olivia's tactical officer, Lieutenant Alan Cruz, called out targets with machine-like precision. The human crew worked with practiced efficiency, as if they had trained for this exact scenario. When a harvester beam cut through the defender's engine section, Olivia made a decision that would be discussed in council chambers for years to come. Evacuation. Order. All hands to escape pods, she commanded. Then she turned to her second-in-command. Program the autopilot for ramming speed. Target, Captain? He asked, already knowing the answer. The big one, their command node. As the crew abandoned ship, Olivia stayed behind until the last moment. She watched her tactical display as the defender accelerated toward the largest harvester vessel. Only when the collision course was locked did she finally head for the last. Escape pod. The explosion lit up space like a newborn star. The harvester. Command ship broke apart, and the remaining enemy vessels fell into disarray. By the time Olivia's escape pod was picked up by another human ship, the harvesters were retreating. In the council emergency chamber, aliens watched the battle recordings with stunned silence. They fight like nothing I've ever seen, whispered a Centaurian observer. Such controlled violence, such willingness to sacrifice, ... Eleanor Fitzgerald stood before the council, her expression appropriately solemn. Captain West acted to save innocent lives. All human ships were officially designated as refugee assistance vessels. They engaged only when the harvesters attacked first. That was technically true, though Eleanor didn't mention that the human ships had been armed far beyond what their official designation allowed. We have some experience with existential threats, Eleanor continued modestly. Earth's history has prepared us for moments like this. Perhaps we can offer our expertise to help coordinate the Council's response to the harvesters. Admiral Vortek looked unhappy, but the Council leader nodded. The bravery of your people cannot be questioned. We would welcome Earth's tactical insights. As the Council session ended, Jack Hammond approached Eleanor in the corridor. Captain West followed her orders perfectly, he said quietly. The Council saw exactly what we wanted them to see, brave humans willing to sacrifice themselves to save others, and not the carefully planned military operation it actually was, Eleanor added. Did our ships get good sensor readings of harvester technology? Jack nodded. Complete scans. Dr. Rivera is already analyzing them. Eleanor allowed herself a small smile. The crisis was terrible for the galaxy, but for humanity it was an opportunity. Now Council species would welcome human military advisors, human security forces, human leadership. Sometimes, Eleanor mused as they walked toward the Earth Embassy, I wonder if we're any different from these harvesters. We're both taking advantage of the situation, both seeking to expand our influence. Jack considered this. The difference is choice. We could conquer if we wanted to. Instead, we protect. The predator that guards the flock is still a predator, but a useful one. Outside the council chamber, news of the human victory spread quickly. For the first time, many species looked at the humans among them with new eyes, seeing not just helpful allies, but dangerous protectors. The galaxy was beginning to realize the truth about humanity. The war against the harvesters dragged on for 3 years. What started as a small human contingent helping with refugees had grown into a major military presence. Human officers now held key positions throughout the Council fleet. The most prominent was Admiral Peter Donovan, a quiet man with gray eyes that missed nothing. The Council had appointed Donovan as Supreme Commander of Council forces 6 months into the war, after he led a successful defense of 3 border systems. His promotion had raised some concerns among older Council species. Are we certain we want a human in such a position of power? a Draxian counselor had asked during the closed session. Their species only joined us 18 years ago. They have proven themselves, the council leader replied. No other species has shown such natural skill in combat operations. Today, Admiral Donovan stood on the bridge of the flagship Guardian, studying tactical displays of the Arcturian sector. Intelligence suggested the Harvesters were planning a major attack there. Deploy our forces according to Plan Delta, he ordered. I want the Centaurian ships here, the Draxian cruisers in this formation, and our Earth vessels spread throughout. As rapid response units, the alien officers nodded and carried out his commands. After 3 years of war, they had learned to trust human military judgment. Humans seemed to have an instinct for predicting enemy movements, for finding weaknesses in seemingly impenetrable defenses. What none of them knew was that humans had been preparing for this kind of war since before they joined the Council. Earth's military had run thousands of simulations based on historical conflicts and theoretical alien tactics. They had studied every major battle in human history, from ancient Rome to modern warfare, looking for patterns that might apply to space combat. The battle began 12 hours later. Harvester ships emerged from hyperspace at the exact coordinates Donovan had predicted. The Council fleet was waiting for them. Enemy forces detected, announced the Silurian communications officer. They are jamming all standard frequencies. Throughout the fleet, alien commanders found themselves unable to communicate. Council military doctrine relied heavily on constant communication between ships. Without it, many captains froze, uncertain how to proceed. But the human captains didn't hesitate. Their ships moved with precise coordination despite the communications blackout. They executed complex maneuvers, drawing harvester forces into carefully planned traps. From his command chair, Donovan watched calmly. He had expected the jamming. Human ships had been equipped with backup, system-simple light signals and predetermined maneuvers that didn't require constant communication. Send the pulse signal, Donovan ordered. A series of energy bursts flashed from the Guardian, visible to all Council ships. It was a simple code, one all human captains would recognize instantly. Advance on all fronts. The battle raged for hours. When it finally ended, the Harvester forces had been completely destroyed. Not a single Council ship was lost, though. Many had taken damage. As communications were restored, confused alien commanders contacted the flagship. How did your ships continue to function so effectively without communications? Asked the Draxian sub-commander. Donovan gave a modest shrug. We prepared contingency plans for every scenario, including communications failure. Standard procedure. But it wasn't standard not for the Council species. They had never encountered an enemy that could completely jam their communications. Humans had anticipated this possibility because they always planned for the worst. After the battle, security. Chief Lyran of the Silurian Protectorate began asking questions. He was an experienced investigator who had served the Council for decades. Something about the humans' performance bothered him. Lyran requested access to battle records from all major engagements involving human ships. He studied them for weeks, noting patterns that others had missed. He brought his findings to a private meeting with the Council leader. The humans don't just fight well, Lyran explained. They fight as if they've been preparing for this war their entire lives. Their captains make decisions in seconds that would take our commanders minutes of discussion. Their crews function without sleep for days during crisis situations. The Council leader frowned. What are you suggesting? I'm not sure, Lyran admitted. But I believe they've been hiding their true capabilities since they joined us. They present themselves as diplomatic partners, eager students of galactic culture. But in combat, they transform into something else entirely. A Council leader decided to confront Admiral Fitzgerald directly. He invited her to his private chambers. away from the formal council setting. "We have noticed something unusual about your species," he said without preamble. "Your natural aptitude for warfare exceeds anything we've seen before." Eleanor's expression remained pleasant, but her eyes sharpened. "We've had to adapt quickly to survive in council space." "I think it goes deeper than that," the council leader said. "Your people function in combat situations with an efficiency that suggests extensive preparation. You anticipated tactics the harvesters used before they employed them." Eleanor was silent for a moment, considering her response. Then she sighed. "Perhaps it's time for greater honesty between allies. You're right that humans have certain predispositions that make us effective in conflict situations." She called in Dr. Samantha Collins from the Human Evolutionary Biology Institute, who had been waiting outside. The doctor entered carrying a data pad filled with human historical and biological information. "Our ancestors weren't the strongest or fastest on Earth," Dr. Collins explained to the fascinated council leader. "We evolved as persistence hunters tracking prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. We developed pattern recognition, strategic planning, and the ability to ignore pain and fatigue when necessary." She showed him images of ancient humans chasing animals across open plains, of early human settlements with defensive walls, of increasingly sophisticated weapons throughout human history. "These traits served us well when we fought each other," Dr. Collins continued, "and now they serve us in defending the galaxy." The council leader studied the information with growing understanding. "You are predators," he said finally. Eleanor smiled. "We prefer to think of ourselves as protectors. But yes, at our core, we evolved from hunters. We simply learned to channel those instincts constructively." Word of this conversation spread quickly through the council. Many species began examining human history more carefully, noting how humanity had survived multiple near-extinction events on their home planet. They observed how humans had turned potential competitors into allies or pets, how they had spread across Earth despite lacking natural weapons or defenses. During a council session 1 week later, Ambassador Kellith, the Elunari, who had first made contact with humans 20 years earlier, addressed the gathered delegates. "They smile and talk of peace," he said, his voice low but carrying throughout the chamber. "But have you seen what they do to those who threaten their young? Have you studied their wars, their ability to unify against common threats? They are apex predators wearing the clothes of diplomats." Admiral Donovan, who was present for the session, stood to respond. "We never claimed to be anything else," he said simply. "We offered friendship and received it. We offered protection when it was needed. Judge us by our actions, not our evolutionary history." The council chambers fell silent as species from across the galaxy considered this new understanding of their human allies. They were beginning to see humans not just as clever diplomats or surprising warriors, but as something more complex predators who had learned to use their hunting instincts for more than just killing. The revelation had begun, and the galaxy would never see humanity the same way again. 5 years had passed since the end of the Harvester War. The galaxy had entered a time of peace, but it was a different kind of peace than before. The old council structure remained, but humans now held key positions throughout the galactic government. Human military reforms had been implemented across council space. Human diplomatic practices had become standard protocol. Eleanor Fitzgerald, once just a diplomat pretending to be less than she was, now served openly as High Counselor of Diplomatic Affairs. Her office in the council tower offered a view of the sprawling capital city. Ships from 100 worlds moved through the sky, following traffic patterns designed by human engineers. Today was special the 5th anniversary of the final battle against the Harvesters. A celebration had been planned to honor those who fought in the war. Eleanor stood before her mirror, adjusting her formal uniform. At 58, Her blonde hair now had streaks of silver, and fine lines marked the corners of her eyes. But she still moved with the same purposeful grace that had impressed. Ambassador Kelleth, during first contact 25 years ago, her assistant, a young Centaurian named Laurel, entered the room. "The delegates are gathering, High Counselor. The ceremony will begin in 30 minutes. "Thank you, Laurel. I'll be ready." Eleanor took one last look in the mirror. The uniform she wore was a compromise between human military tradition and council formal attire, symbolic of how humanity had integrated into galactic society while maintaining their identity. The celebration was held in the Grand Hall, a vast space with a transparent dome showing the stars above. Representatives from every council species attended, wearing their finest ceremonial garments. At the center stood a simple crystal sphere containing lights, representing every ship lost in the war. Eleanor took her place on the speaker's platform alongside other high-ranking officials. Admiral Peter Donovan was there, now supreme, military commander of all council forces. Dr. Nathan Rivera represented the science division. Jack Hammond had retired, but his protege Kyle Bennett now served as director of interspecies relations. The council leader, the same ancient being who had witnessed humanity's rise from newcomers to leaders, opened the ceremony with traditional words of remembrance. Then he invited Eleanor to speak. She approached the podium and looked out at the gathered beings, some with scales, some with fur, some with extra limbs or eyes. Once, they had been mysterious aliens. Now they were colleagues, partners, even friends. 25 years ago, Eleanor began, humanity reached for the stars and found we were not alone. We joined this council as its newest, most junior member. We had much to learn about your technologies, your cultures, your ways of thinking. She paused, allowing her gaze to move across the audience. The Harvester War changed everything. It forced us all to reveal our true strengths, to set aside old suspicions, and to work together for survival. Humans showed you our capacity for warfare, a capacity we had always possessed but rarely discussed. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. The revelation of humanity's predatory nature had shocked many at first, but time had softened. The impact. Today, we celebrate not just victory, but understanding, Eleanor continued. The galaxy now knows humans for what we truly are, not just diplomats, not just warriors, but both. We are predators who chose to protect rather than conquer. We are hunters who decided to guard the flock. She raised her glass in a toast to cooperation and understanding between all sentient species. The crowd raised their various drinking vessels and repeated the toast. As Eleanor returned to her seat, she scanned the room with practiced ease, noting which delegates seemed genuinely pleased and which merely pretended to be. After the formal ceremony, guests moved to the reception area for food and conversation. Eleanor circulated through the crowd, exchanging pleasantries with delegates from dozens of worlds. She had learned all their customs, their taboos, their preferred forms of greeting. Ambassador Kelleth approached her, moving gracefully on his 4 legs. Though retired from active service, he still attended important functions as an elder statesman. "An excellent speech, High Counselor," he said. "Your words honored both the past and the present." "Thank you, Ambassador. Your approval means much to me." When the other guests moved away, Kelleth spoke in a lower voice. "You never intended conquest, did you?" "I've often wondered. You could have taken control at any point during the war. The council would have been too desperate to refuse." Eleanor smiled. "Conquest is inefficient. We learned long ago that true power comes from being indispensable, not feared. Humans don't want to rule the galaxy, Ambassador. We just want to ensure our survival and prosperity. If that means making the galaxy safer and more stable for everyone, all the better." Kelleth nodded slowly. A predator that protects its territory by keeping peace. Fascinating. As Kelleth departed, Council Security Chief Gregory Martinez entered. Eleanor's circle. Greg had taken over security operations 3 years ago, the first human to hold the position. His posture was relaxed but alert, a soldier at rest but ever vigilant. The Trelaxian delegation is expressing concerns about our new defense initiative, he reported quietly. They're worried we're building too many ships. Eleanor nodded. Send Kyle to speak with them. He's good with the Trelaxians. Remind them gently about the 3 times we've rescued their colonies from pirate attacks. Greg made a note on his datapad. Will do. Anything else? Eleanor thought for a moment. Have Ryan increased cultural exchange programs with their youth. Their children already admire humans. In a generation, they won't remember why they ever feared us. Greg smiled slightly. The long game, as always. It's worked so far, Eleanor replied. Later that night, when the celebration had ended, Eleanor stood alone on the balcony of her private quarters. The city lights stretched below her, and above, the stars shone with possibilities. Somewhere out there, Earth continued its own development, protected by the knowledge and technology humans had gained from their galactic allies. She thought about how far humanity had come, from a single planet to a galaxy-spanning influence, from newcomers to leaders, from hidden predators to acknowledged protectors. That the revelation of humanity's true nature had not led to fear or rejection, as some had worried. Instead, it had led to a new kind of respect. Other species now understood that beneath human smiles and diplomatic words lay the minds of hunters strategic, patient, and fiercely protective of what they considered theirs. Eleanor smiled as she looked up at the stars. The galaxy had finally realized the truth. Humans weren't just clever diplomats or surprising warriors. They were apex predators who had learned that the most successful hunter doesn't need to bare its teeth not, when it can make its prey into willing allies instead, and the galaxy was safer because of it.